allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Please be seated.
Notice requirements of the open public meeting law have been satisfied concerning this meeting. The Home News Tribune published this meeting notice on Friday, July 22nd, 2016. It was posted on the municipal bulletin board and should be so noted in the minutes of this meeting. Councilman Anderson. Here. Councilwoman De Jesus.
Here.
Councilman Ficarra. Councilman Major. Councilwoman Leon. Councilman Small. Councilman Stiller. Here. Vice President Delina. Here. And President Trump.
Here.
Madam President, this time if we can entertain a motion to open the public portion of this budget presentation meeting.
Motion? Second.
Motion made and properly second. Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public portion of this budget presentation meeting is now open to the public. Anybody from the public with any comment? Seeing nobody from the public approaching the microphone, so I get a motion that the public portion of this meeting be closed.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Madam President, in front of council this evening, we have a number of items. First, we have an ordinance with regards to the cap bank, and you also have two resolutions. So with regards to the ordinance, which is lettered as A this evening, and I get a motion that the ordinance be approved on first reading, published in the Home News Tribune this Friday, August 5th, 2016, with notice of public hearing, second and third reading to be held on August 23rd at 7 p.m.
Make a motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. You also have two resolutions. Resolution number 1 will be the introduction of the fiscal year 2017, which is the purpose of this meeting, so you can move forward and start discussing it with your department and division heads. And number 2 is a resolution regarding the alternate method for calculating the reserve for uncollected taxes. Can I get a motion that resolutions 1 through 2 be approved?
Make a motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And also, Mr. Klepchik handed you a new, the new data sheet, so you have an updated binder in front of you for this evening.
So
Okay.
we'll use that instead of this.
That one is what's in front of you.
Oh.
Alrighty, so that's,
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
alrighty. You have in your beginning of your budget document, you also have your list of your scheduled department and division heads to appear before you this evening with your salary and wages and your operating expense pages. I have nothing else.
Okay. Do we want to wait for administration?
Well, I believe, unless Mr. Fernandez has any comments for council?
No,
There's no comments. I believe Councilwoman De Jesus wanted to just pose a couple questions. I believe you might be familiar with them.
Sure. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So page 48, on page 48, within the section salaries and wages, under senior transportation, there's open positions for the bus drivers. Are we hiring people for these?
I believe there's 4 positions they're going to hire for 4 drivers, yes.
For our senior buildings, to transport our seniors?
That's correct,
Okay.
yes. And recreation, yeah.
I'm sorry?
For different programs,
For
whatever programs
events
they want,
and
they'll take them, yes.
recreational activities that we have in
Right.
the town.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions? Administration and finance?
Well, I believe that was
To
just
wait.
general questions she
Okay.
was waiting on an answer for.
Okay.
Were there any others?
We'll go, are there any others, council?
I don't have any administration.
Councilwoman
No,
De
I'm good.
Jesus?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
Jen-
So we'll go to planning and development.
Well, generally speaking, we would follow that, but since
He's
they're not
not
here
here.
yet, I would start here with Michael Solis.
Okay. Information systems?
Maybe he can
Sure. Please identify yourself and identify the budgets that you'll be
Michael
handling.
Isolde, Information Systems, 8520 is the budget department number.
Page 36 for us.
No, page 60, S&W's on page 68 and 136.
136. That's what I meant to say. 136. That's the salary and wage page. So 136, I apologize, page 136. Council, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Asaldo? We're on page 136, salary and wages, page 68. Mr. Asaldo, you're just presenting page 136, or are there other departments that you're
No,
presenting?
that's just that
That's it?
budget, yes.
One question, Council President?
Sure.
The requested amount for salaries for this year is $850,000. Is that correct?
850,000.
Correct. Yes.
Are we hiring a new information person? We're going up about 50,000 from last year. What were you actually expecting?
Well, we do have a part-time technician that we're looking at possibly making full-time. So I believe that there are an increase into there, and then other contractual amounts that were part of that budget, that number. If I may just add that the budget's under $4,500 less than last year. So we've invested in a lot of the ordinances, new equipment, leases, amounts, maintenance dropping. So we're very proud of those. A lot of our fiber optics that we're doing, our telecommunications numbers are down, and some of the supplies that we've distributed, and we're working smarter with different departments. So we're very happy to present this budget at $4,500 less than last year.
Hello, everybody.
Is church or opposed to?
Hello, Councilman Ficara, welcome.
Council President?
We are with Mr. Asaldo, Information Systems, and we're just wrapping up that category. So if you want to take a minute, and if you have any questions, we're on page 136 of OE, and we'll see if he has any questions for you.
I'm good. No sense in
You're
waiting.
good?
Yep.
Well, we could wait.
No, we don't.
We're good.
How about everybody else? We're good? Go on to the next department? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Richard Duda? Just identify yourself and then what department you're representing, please.
Good afternoon, Council. Rich Duda, Tax Assessor, Woodbridge, and part of Administration and Finance.
Page, we'll move to page 31. 31, right? Welcome, Councilman Major.
Thank you.
Hi, we're with Mr. Duda, and we're Division of Tax Assessment, and we're on page 31, if you want to catch up with us. Any questions from council? Councilman Anderson?
Mr. Duda, I noticed that you had no printing charges this year.
What basically happened, we went to save some money. We went to we used to order binders for our tax books. They were cumbersome, and our vendor produced smaller and already bound that came with the price that they normally charge us. It was $3,600 for that. They're not really, these new binders aren't really working out too well, so it's, we're probably going to be ordering the old binders because these new ones are falling apart.
Any other questions, council?
Council President, we're doing sewer collection administration also?
We will do Mr. Lorenzen for the tax collection and sewer collection administration next. Thank you, Mr. Duda.
Okay, thank you, council. Have a nice evening.
Director Anderson?
Guys, have a good evening.
So as we mentioned, council, I'm going to handle both sewer administration and tax collection. I think the first one starts on page 29.
Mr. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Page 30, fees and permits. It's, I guess, a new request over recent years.
Yeah, that's a good question. In years gone past, we started an escrow account with the county so that when people have tax sale certificates that have been redeemed, we can send them automatically down to the county and have them removed from their record. It's a $30 charge that we've been charging to get us compensated for the certificates that we send to the county. It's been in my other outside charges, and now we've given it its own line item. It's actually a pass-through because we actually don't, it doesn't cost us, but I have to have somewhere to charge it. So what we do is we collect $30 at the time of somebody redeeming a tax sale certificate, and we get it discharged so it doesn't show up in their title work later on in life.
Right.
So we created this so that I have somewhere to charge that escrow account.
So it's really more of a bookkeeping thing.
Yeah.
It was always accounted for just in a different line.
Yeah, we created a line just so we can identify going forward.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Council President?
Yeah.
Good evening, Director. Under print, I'm sorry, not print, under advertising, is that the advertising that we put out for liens and all that stuff?
It's actually the advertising for the tax sale, and $5,000 is charged to tax, $5,000 is charged to sewer. The reason we didn't expend any this year was because we went from an accelerated tax sale to a conventional tax sale to try to cut down the amount of tax sale certificates that we created, and because we were in a better position budget-wise, we were able to do that. That charge will occur next year, so I kept it in the budget. But this year, because we didn't have an accelerated tax sale, we had a conventional tax sale, it didn't get charged.
Thanks.
Councilman Anderson?
Thank you, Council President. Director, I have a question regarding education. Over the past few years, you had a standard amount. This past year, it looks like perhaps was there a new certification or something that
There were 2 people in the tax office that availed themselves to the Rutgers classes. So the prior couple of years, no one had gone to Rutgers to take the classes. 2 people expressed interest, so that's why we did the additional funds.
And these are classes that keep them up to date on?
It makes them better at understanding what tax collectors do. So there's 3 classes offered at Rutgers, and some of them are in the 3 phases. Some of them have taken 1, 2, and some are finishing up 3. Those courses have gotten rather expensive, so we just, rather than go over budget, we made sure we put enough to cover the courses. You're welcome.
Any other questions? We'll move to page 132.
Yes.
Sewer collection and administration.
Yeah, we'll go right into sewer administration.
Oh, go ahead. Councilman De Jesus
I
has a
have a
question?
question. On page 133, other outside services, there was an increase of $30,000. The last item on page 133.
Increase of 15,000.
That was the one.
We're requesting.
That's Lurch P.C. Higgins, there's a sewer study going on, that's to pay for that amount, so.
Yeah, we increased that line item for this year to conduct a sewer study. So that's the line item that we charge to conduct a sewer study for the auditor that's gonna do the study for us.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And it looks as though office supplies is going back to its normal budgeted amount of 5,000 compared to what you spent last year?
Yes.
40,000? Page 133, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Top line.
Yes. Yes. There were some additional items that were charged that were more capital expenditures last year, including flooring and software that we used to improve the office. Sometimes the software in years gone past had been charged to IT, but it was charged to our budget, and that was to improve our online payment system so that people could pay through their bank and through the township portal to pay both taxes and sewer. So
Great.
we don't expect any additional course this year. That's why we went back to the
Great.
5,000.
Very good.
Council President?
Good.
One of the questions I have whenever I see something was overspent on, where were the funds used? Where did they come from to account for that, you know?
Well, we had some savings in printing and the tax sale cost. So it was kind of in lieu of the fact that we knew we had some savings, that we took this year as the opportunity to buy the additional software to help us going forward, because we knew we'd have savings elsewhere. And those were one-time charges, so that'll make it even better as far as not going over budget this year, but it was offset by savings elsewhere in the budget.
Okay, and I noticed that another area that we did experience some savings for the last few years, it's kind of gone up and down with regard to the spend, is professional services. We've saved significantly there, but the requested amount from 2015 to 2016 has gone up, but we did not actually utilize those services.
Those are, again, usually allocated in case we do a specific type of study, whether it's between Woodbridge and Carteret, or capital expenditures, or things of that nature. Whenever there's a particular type of study that's being planned for the current year, sometimes you'll see a little bit of a spike in those line items.
Any other questions from council? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Ann? You better be here tonight, we might get you again. Please identify yourself and let us know what part of the budget that you'll be speaking.
Sure. Good evening, Council President. Tonight I have the purchasing on page 14, if you want to go in order, and personnel. And then just to make it real fun, I'm getting charge of the utility budget.
Okay. Any comments from council or any concerns? Page 14. page 22, personnel. Postage and delivery, top page, Marianne, page 22, kind of jumped out at me. You are appropriating for 12,000. Looks like you barely, had to utilize that last year.
I'm sorry? It's mail.
Just seems like a lot.
Oh, Barron Arts.
Barron Arts, oh. Page 22.
I thought it was the mail.
Oh, it splits.
Oh, it's split. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'll get them later.
Highlight that one.
Yeah. Anybody have any concerns for Marianne or questions?
I have a question. Personnel, page 23, under printing, you're requesting 500, but you've already spent twice, almost 3 times as much as what you're requesting.
Yes, last year, we had to do extra mailing for Affordable Care Act. So we were able to kind of work it out going forward, that was like a one-time setup fee for like the special forms we have to have for the ADA requirements. So I see this year that we probably should be back to the $500 since we got the template all set and all that. And ready
Thank
to
you.
go.
Any comments from council? Thank you. Where do you want to?
Not to say that I don't want extra
Yeah, where are you
camera
going
time,
now?
but I do have page 24, so you might be saving all the exciting questions for the
Sure.
gasoline and electricity.
Any questions from council? Councilman
No.
O'Hara? Oh.
No, sorry, just
Pen on the arm?
stretching.
So as you mentioned, the gasoline.
Yes,
Okay. So we have a significant difference there.
yes we do.
Okay. And was this a savings from new automobile purchases that we have?
I believe because we do have some Go Green purchases, but as well as hopefully we all enjoyed hovering around the $2 mark for gas, we're able to not have to pay any tax, so it is a bit cheaper. So when we pay maybe $1.80, we're looking at maybe $1.20, $1.30. This has probably been my first time that we have a decrease, which is actually wonderful, because if you can see the years prior, we're about 1.3 all the time. So with us spending not even $500,000 yet, but we do, want to be ready in case if there is a spike. We were a bit conservative on that number, but hopefully we can all keep enjoying that savings.
And dropping the gasoline price
Yes.
probably helped as well.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
Now, the next line, electricity.
Yes.
Also, we're seeing a decreased requested amount.
Yes.
So is this from any of the panel installments that we've had around town, or?
I believe it's a combination of the solar panels. It also that we belong to a consortium with the Board of Ed, so we do have a third party. So it does produce about a 20% savings when we do buy in bulk with them, because it's all the school districts throughout the state. So that's also a good savings for us. You're welcome.
Any other comments from council? Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Manny? Manny. Manny, will you do 1310, Division of Accounts and Control, before Marta?
Right, that's fine.
Okay.
Sure.
So we're on page 26. If there are any comments from council, address them to Manny Fernandez.
It is say we're doing comptroller now?
We're doing,
Yes.
yeah, 1310.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Sure. Councilman Ficara has a question.
Sure.
May I'm sorry, I can't see you down there. Professional services on page 27. It's been kind of holding steady. We jumped a little bit, and then we jumped a little bit more. I'm not, what professional
ADP
services?
fees, all our fees for payroll and stuff go through that line, and it's actually increased a lot. And also, they've actually become a cloud-based program now, so we have to pay extra for the services to get all the records and everything retained on it. So that's really the driver of that line.
I got you. Don't want to mess around with that.
Any other comments from council? Thank you, Manny.
Thank you.
Marta?
Good evening, Council President, council members. We're going to be dealing with planning and development next, which starts on page 62 and should go through to 70. So the first is Office of the Director, which is 2010. And that starts on
63. Any comments from council? It's just for recording. Because these times- Yeah.
You could also look at 2020, which starts on 65.
Yes.
Director,
Yes.
what's some of the miscellaneous expenses on page 62? Okay. Thank you.
I threw my voice out.
Oh, you know, I did the same, I'm sorry, I did the same thing as Council President, split it.
Sorry, I'm that
So what you
that
started?
influence.
Well, as I said, 2020, which is planning board,
Right.
starts on 65. 2030, which is zoning board, starts on 67. Starting on 69.
Any comments from council?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Councilman Spiller?
On page, Director, on page 71, professional services other, it seemed pretty much stayed the same in 14 and 15, and then we saw a significant drop of 50%.
Professional service other?
Yeah. And the number is still requested at the same because we're looking at the possibility of scanning services on a chunk of permitting, our way back permitting that has not been scanned. And that's why the request still stays the same, even though this year it did drop.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman DeLina?
Page 66, advertising legal MARTA. I know that's a big line item, but I see.
66, is that in 2020?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be, as you know, this year we were involved with all our affordable housing litigation, and so that requires some verbatim publication, and it got hit 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
So that's why that number is such a...
Yeah, not a big number, but an increase.
Right. And that would not be occurring next year.
Right.
It was this single year.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments from council?
Going back to page 71. Two lines in a row. Photographic supplies. We went from, we're no longer requesting any type of funds on that. And is that something that we'll see eliminated from this budget? Seeing that we're going 2 years where we didn't spend any, and then the following year where we're not requesting any?
That's entirely possible. As you know, we do all the photographing digitally now, so those Instamatics, that film was extremely expensive for the level of photos that we took.
Okay, and then the following line is other supplies where we did not spend anything, and then we're requesting the same amount that we requested last year.
Yeah, we're anticipating purchasing some additional supplies for the office. We weren't ready to make that purchase this year, but we're anticipating in this next budget year that we will be doing that.
And also all the printing stuff now that used to be on the IT budget now is on your budget as well, so that's
Yes.
So all the printer, cartridges and everything now are on their budget now, so that's
Okay.
Toner.
That we haven't-
Toner's gonna hit us hard.
But being that we
As you
haven't
can.
spent that money,
This is the first year that we'll be doing toner.
We had some in reserve and inventory, so we were able to kind of use those throughout the year. Now, this year, all these programs will get hit for those types of supplies this year. You'll see that being spent this year.
Yeah, so that's gonna be an overall adjustment across the board.
Across the board, yes.
Toner's a big one. I know.
Any other comments or concerns? Thank you, Director Levesky.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
Marta, excuse us.
Bob.
Director Hubner, please. Oh, he's outside. Oh, okay. Director Hubner, if you could just identify yourself and then let us know what area you will be speaking to.
Bob Hubner, Police Director, and we'll be talking about the police budget.
Okay, we're at 2210, page 74. Does that sound right to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's not right. That's not right.
2210.
Okay.
Councilman Ficarra has a question.
Director, were you going to say something? You going to?
No, just, I'm good. Good to go.
Okay. Page 75, third from the bottom, other police equipment. There's a significant increase in what we requested, what we spent, and what we're requesting this year.
Yeah, other police equipment. Yeah, there's a large increase there due to some of the equipment that we're going to be purchasing for the police officer, ballistic vests, ballistic helmets, protection gear for all the officers.
Great.
And that should last quite a few years, so it's not going to be a reoccurring cost.
Good. All in favor of that. Just one other question while I still have the floor is the next page, 76, the computer software. I hate to pick on things that jumped up, but it's not a major expense, but it's gone up $15,000. But yet I see that we overspent last year, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, a couple things there, Councilman. We had to add some programs. One of them is for CALIA, for our accreditation. They have now gone to computer programs, so we had to add on for that. We added on some investigative software for the Detective Bureau and also a tracking system for performance for the officers, so that's that increase.
Great. Money well spent, thank you.
And then the same page, Director Hebner, 76, office machines, you're requesting 20,000, which is a big jump.
That's correct. What we're trying to do, believe it or not, that's a cost savings addition. We're trying to be universal across the board in all the different departments that use copiers. And we have to purchase 2 more large copiers, one for the Records Bureau and one in the report writing room that are used all the time.
So in an effort to centralize the copy?
And supplies and that type of thing.
Okay, good, thank you. Yeah, Councilman Major?
Yes, Director Hubner, I'm going to skip back to the line item for other equipment that Mr. Ficarra was talking about.
Page 75.
Yes.
Yes, page 75, third from the bottom. Any consideration for some of these new flash cameras that seem to be popping up that would be allowed to be posted in areas that might be graffiti stricken? From what I can see, they appear to be somewhat portable. Prices seem to be dropping, and they're somewhat of an overt as opposed to covert, and they're designed to not only take accurate photos, but also to deter because of the flash.
We've looked at some of the hardware. We're still researching. We had bought a camera in the past that we used for several years. It's outdated now. We had some issues with it, but we are looking at that type of software in the future.
Thank you.
Councilman Delina?
Thank you. 2 questions, Bob. Number one is the equipment repair on the vehicles, maintenance. Are we doing that in-house, or?
Some of it, most of it is in-house, what we can do. Some of it has to go out to the dealerships. What you'll see is, and I can see why you're questioning that, we had Dodge Chargers, and we found that there's a lot of maintenance with the Dodges. We've had some issues. We are now transitioning over to the Fords, and we're finding less of an issue with maintenance.
Okay. And one more question. I remember last year we spoke about for the Greenway, we're supposed to get something, the ATVs.
That's
Whatever,
correct.
Did it ever come through? I mean, I know it's...
We were counting, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, we were counting on the county helping us out there. They were talking about getting some vehicles for us. We were waiting on that, and I'm not sure where that's at.
Okay, can we reach out to them and just try to push it a little more, because I think that would be a great idea to have at least
Absolutely.
1 or 2 down there. I'm sure it's a lot easier to drive the vehicles down there also.
Right.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, Woodbridge Police Department, the best.
Best.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Any other comments or concerns?
Council President?
Yes.
I have a question regarding maintenance contracts on page 77.
Yep.
So for the last few years, it's gone up significantly, and I just want to see if we can get an explanation of the maintenance contract and where we think the spending is going to be headed.
Absolutely, Councilman. The radio system we put in several years ago, very high-tech, has come out of warranty. So now we have to pay for any problems that arise. It's very expensive when there is a problem. We do have people also contributing, Board of Education, who uses our radio system, fire, they contribute also. But some of their budgets aren't in line with our budget. We have to make sure we're able to pay the maintenance, which is fairly significant each year. And when there's issues, as I said, they become expensive, so that's why that's gone up so much.
And is there an area in the budget where we were able to reappropriate or remove the
Reduce
funds
some?
from?
Yeah, if you look over some of the different line items, you'll see that we've gone down in some areas. We've requested less money. right off the top of my head, if you look at computer supplies, we went down a little bit, and there's several other lines. Copier supplies, we went down a little bit. Uniform and clothing allowance, we went down. So in other areas, we have requested less and gone down.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Councilman? Any other comments? We're good. You want to move to 2215 Impound Yard?
I'm going to let Patrick Kenny
Pat
take over
Kenny?
for that.
So that's page 81. That, if anybody has any comments for Patrick.
Council President.
Yes, Councilman Anderson?
Question regarding salaries. See, for 2016, we have a line for overtime, but yet we exceeded our salaries spent, or salaries that we budgeted for, but yet for 2017, we're requesting about where we were as far as requesting for last year.
Yes, Councilman. In the past, I believe the overtime that was paid out came out of civilian overtime from the police department. Now we're actually putting a line item in there that it'll be budgeted against the tow yard for all of the overtime that comes out from there for the operator from the tow yard.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, and to echo Councilman Delina's sentiments about the Woodbridge Police Department, we, on behalf of the Town Council, we appreciate everything that you do for our residents and our businesses, and Pat Kenny, all that your department does as well. They're everywhere, and they're always very cordial and kind, and we appreciate all your efforts for keeping us out of harm's way.
Thank you very much. It's much appreciated.
Department of Public Works. Please identify yourself and what areas of the budget you'll have us address.
Yeah, I'll be handling all the divisions with the division heads, but I'll also be doing the director's office of the director.
Page 36.
Yes.
So we're on page 36, Office of the Director. If the council has any comments or questions for Director Henry.
I have a question. On page 37, under education continuing, there's a significant jump in the requests as compared to last year. What does that entail?
We have a safety officer that works in my office now, and we're sending him for Public Works Manager certification for the safety officer.
Thank you.
Good, okay. What's next, Director Henry?
Engineering usually, but Scott's not here yet, so how about Carmen Barbado has 1631, 1632, 1633, and 8530 to handle.
1631, 1632, 1633, Carmen Barbado, page 42, 46, and 48.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman.
Sorry, Rick.
Sorry, Councilman.
I didn't see you. Okay, must be John's head in the way.
So it must be John, I don't know.
No, just kidding. I noticed a decrease in the asphalt,
What page are you on,
page
Councilman?
43.
43?
The road material asphalt.
Okay.
Means, I hate to see a decrease in asphalt.
A lot of this was for patchwork and a lot of things that we did. Now with our own in-house paving, we bond money for actual parking lots and rebuilding. So we've cut it a little bit.
But not cutting into the services.
Nah, we have less potholes this year.
Wonderful,
so
that's what I thought.
We think we're gonna be okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Anderson, did you have a question?
Question. No, no problem. I've noticed for the past few years, since 2013, the seasonal salary has not been met. Is there a reason for that?
We've been having a hard time getting the seasonals as early as we used to. For some reason this year that we had the same thing. I'm not sure if it's vacations or what, but usually we were able to get them right after school. And they're going back earlier. And when we were able to get this year, when we needed seasonals, we needed them in the sanitation for the bulk pickup. So we're going to try to get them in a little sooner. We would like to have had them sooner, but we're having a hard time getting them in as early as
Is there the time of the recruitment time, the ideal recruitment time for that?
Well, we used to get them in right after school. I mean, they would fill out the applications before the school year was over.
Okay.
And now, they're coming in slow. I guess they want a couple of weeks, and colleges are starting earlier. So it's becoming a little harder to have them come in and fill the ranks while our guys are on vacation.
Council, we experienced that elsewhere too. For instance, with lifeguards, we had trouble attracting lifeguards, we had a lot of trouble, so we're just not getting, the applicants used to come in. We're not seeing these.
All right. So I guess we'll have to try another approach maybe next year. But are we going to continue to request the same amount each year?
If we can't do it this year, we'll cut that amount and put a realistic number in there.
Does anybody else have any? Councilman Ficarra?
Carmen, can we move all the way to snow removal calamities? Is that yours? I know that's very unpredictable.
Yeah, 1632, it says,
Okay.
page
So,
46.
Just a couple of things in there, and I know, again, preface my questions with unpredictability, but other outside services, we continually budget $10,000, but we always seem to spend more than that. Is there a reason why we don't adjust the request?
Like you said, unpredictable weather. This year with the snowstorm, we went to an outside service for a lot of our pullouts, towing.
Okay.
And that's one of my outside services.
So that's outside services that come in to assist us to clean up calamities and those kind of things.
Yeah.
Like Carmen said, this year we had one of our major problems during this storm was the snow came faster than our trucks could keep up with it.
Right.
So we probably had 100 vehicles get stuck during the storm. And within a couple hours of that, we realized we were losing a lot of time and manpower with trying to get our own trucks out. So we brought in some heavy wreckers, pull them out.
Okay. I guess, just based on history, Manny, I don't know. I mean, accounting-wise, do we bump that line up, or we play, I don't know. I understand the reason why, but if there's a reoccurring factor there, I'm not an accountant, so I don't know how to deal with
If council is offering to increase our operating budget, we'll accept that.
Quiet over there.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to be real. But on the other hand,
Councilman, I think we can take it from seasonal employees and put it right in.
yeah.
Problem solved.
But then again, on the other hand, going down a couple of items on miscellaneous expense, we continually budget a pretty high amount, and we're considerably below that. So I don't know if there's a relationship between those two. You know, one's miscellaneous expense, the other's outside services. It seems for the last number of years, except for this year, we've dropped it down, but we consistently budget a pretty high number, and we're not even coming close to spending it. So I don't know if there's
One of the reasons for that is the salt usage. We actually had a meeting with FEMA about a week ago, and they were like shocked with the amount. They just came from Woodbridge, and the amount of salt we used in that storm was much less than what they used. And one of our problems going over the years past was after we use up our salt, we get hit with a couple of storms, we can't get salt. You know, the state can get it, you know, so a lot of utilities can get it, but we can't get it. So what we've done now is we try to salt very little before a storm. We've purchased 4 brine trucks now, so we brine before a storm, and we try not to use a lot of salt before the storm. Last year it worked. This snowstorm came in so fast and hard that we didn't have to use a lot of salt. We were able to plow it and then use some salt at the end of it. So that's why we put it in there, but we've been able to save on the salt, I believe, with the brine trucks.
For the number of years that I've been on this council, I do certainly recognize that the unpredictable nature of that business, so I appreciate those explanations. Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you.
Thank you. What about 1633? Street
Sure.
sweeping?
Oh, we did, I thought we did that. 1633, page 48.
Yeah, and then we have to do 8530, which is road sewer maintenance. But we're going to do 1633.
Yes. Street cleaning? Any comments? Questions? Page 48. How many are on that, in that department, street cleaning?
Employees,
Yeah.
we got them here. I think we got.
All full-time?
10.
10 full-time?
Yeah.
One for each town. Any questions or comments, anyone? And you wanted to move where, Director Henry?
8530.
8530 sewer maintenance, page 140.
You want page 140?
Yeah.
It's 8540. 139. On page 139.
Any comments or questions for Director Henry?
Council President.
Oh, Councilman Delina, yes.
Page 139, Dennis, phone expenses, quite a big increase. Why is there such a big increase in that?
On the salaries?
No, telephone expenses?
What page
Page
number?
139.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's 8520.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, ma'am, I'm on, that's 139 instead of 39. Sorry about that.
No problem.
We'll let you slide.
Okay, so next,
No, you're right, you didn't read it, you split it.
We
oh,
all,
okay.
three of us did.
Okay, sorry, my
That's
bad.
okay. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, good. We'll move to the next line.
Good job.
Thank you, Carmen.
How about 1640 equipment repair?
Page 50. Thanks, Carmen.
And this is Joseph Rudy, he's our motors manager. Sorry, I should introduce Carmen verbatim.
Councilman Vaccaro?
Joe, going all the way to page 52, other outside services. I'm just looking, comparison throughout the years of what we've requested and what we've spent. Last year, we increased the request significantly, overspent it, and now we're kind of moderate. Are we in our comfort zone now with that?
Yes, that's actually vehicle tracking's mixed in with that,
Okay.
plus other outside repairs that we don't do,
Gotcha.
specialized repairs outside our shop.
Great. Okay.
We combined all the vehicle tracking into equipment repair instead of charging each division. So we took it all, and equipment repair now manages it. And when new vehicles get put on with vehicle tracking, it goes into their budget, and they control it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Council President, a question regarding other repairs. Could you explain to me, I see we have motor vehicle repairs just above it, and then we have other repairs, and that cost has significantly gone down over the last few years. This is on page 52.
Second and third line.
The third, second and third line.
45.95.
Okay. Yeah, that's specialized, like, if not the truck itself, but that's like starters, alternators, things like that, accessories to the truck.
Okay. And our cost has gone down over the last few years. We're actually requesting, is there something that we can explain on why that cost has gone down so that we won't expect it to go up in the future?
Newer vehicles, the technology's changed.
Okay.
A lot of it has to do with that.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Okay, sanitation, 1660.
Page 53.
Council President?
Page 54, under other materials, it's a pretty high number. Could you give us a little bit of a breakdown of what that pertains to or what's in that category?
Other materials. 42.95 on the bottom.
Are they?
There you go.
Last one, Tom.
That's 130,000?
Yeah.
Yes, that is for the purchase of the leaf bags.
Oh, the recycles?
Yes, and also we just lost the co-op dealing with Somerset County on that.
Okay.
So we're going to have to also bid out for them ourselves. I believe, Mary Ann is looking into that right now.
Okay, because that's been the number for since the last several years, so.
Yes.
Just seems
Yeah,
high.
well, originally it was coming out of a grant with
Okay.
recycling.
Okay.
And the grant money dried up, so of course we have to utilize the line item for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Spiller?
Director,
On page 55, sanitary landfill, I see we've pretty much held course at 2.6, but every year we're asking 3.6. Is every man's trash like snow? We just don't know how much we're going to bring into the landfill. Why we want to keep that number there.
Yeah, we generate about 38,000 tons of solid waste, type 10, a year. We've been holding steady about 38,000. We used to do 58,000 per year. But recycling has picked up so much, our single stream has become so successful, we're recycling approximately 14,700 and change tons per year with recycling. What happened was we used to take our bulk to Monte Carlo disposal next door to us at a fee, which was lower than the landfill was charging. The landfill increased their type 13B so much. They didn't want the bulk in the landfill because it takes up room. So we contracted with Monte Carlo next door for a cheaper fee, but then there is a surcharge fee that the county was charging us for not bringing it to the landfill.
Councilman, if I could, I think you're looking at what was spent versus what we budgeted. When we put those numbers together, that was before we'd done all our bulk pickup for the year, so we weren't exactly sure where that number was going to hit. Now that we have 12 months of real activity there, let's go back and look at that number.
And we also now, with our bulk pickup, it was approximately about 1,300 tons with our townwide bulk pickup that we collected. But, of course, Monte Carlo had the fire, so we're not utilizing Monte Carlo no more. We are taking it to the landfill, which has reduced their tipping fee a little bit. It's still a little more than what we were doing at Monte Carlo. But then you also have to put the surcharge that the MCUA was charging us.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thanks, Tommy.
I'm sorry, this is Tom Capani, sanitation superintendent.
Thank you. Thank you.
You want to go back to engineering?
Sure. Hi, Scott.
I see he's in the room.
Scott is in the house.
Scott. 1620, page 38. Scott Thompson, Direct Engineering.
Looks solid, Scott.
Looks
No
solid,
questions?
Scott.
Looks solid.
Speaking of recyclables.
Hope you didn't rush over here.
I did. It's in a meeting.
Does anybody have anything before we let him sit down?
Get up and sit down.
We're good? Okay. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have Brian Burke. It's Buildings and Grounds, 1670. He's our,
Page 58.
our Superintendent of Buildings and Grounds.
Councilman.
Yes, Councilman Spiller.
Director, on page 59, building ground repairs, I see we've always stayed the course at 50. Over the last few years, that number, the actual has actually been a lot more. Was there something course specific to one or two buildings, or?
The reason for that is I don't know if you've been in town hall, we have our major air conditioning problems and stuff. So we've been delayed on that, so we've been having to put money into the older units to keep them running until we get this project done. So a lot of our money's just been putting in there lately to keep everything up and running.
No, I mean-
And plus, some of the buildings are all getting older now, so it costs a little more to keep them up.
And we're comfortable with that, setting that number the same for this?
I think we will, because this year we'll be finished with the roof on Town Hall and all the new air conditioning units, so that should help us out plenty.
Thank you.
Councilman Delina?
Thank you. Page 58, janitorial supplies, and there's increase in that. Any reason for the increase?
The reason for that, we opened up the new senior center over in Seawarren, the Sycamore Senior Center.
Okay.
So that's another whole building, so that's why some of the maintenance went up too, because it's a whole new building, and that was after the budget last year.
Thank you, that explains it, thank you.
Councilman Anderson?
Page 59, miscellaneous expenses, final line. We seem to have been in the...
What that was, I think a lot of them were not put in the right other line items.
On why it was overspent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're now asking for half of
We're,
what we...
because I think we'll be okay with that. Just that this other, we're using other line items out of this one here.
Okay.
Which should be reduced by next year.
All right.
Well, once all these repairs get done.
Okay.
Good. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Next, we have Tom Padden, head of our school custodians, buildings and grounds.
Page 60? Solid. Solid. Thank you, Mr. Patton.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have George Brew, head of our Parks Department. It's 3310. Page 101.
George, page 103, first line, Parks playground equipment. Are you anticipating doing some more playgrounds, or it seems like that seems to be the number? I know you've done a lot of work over the last several years.
Well, a lot of it is, you know, a capital improvement. This is more of tables,
Oh, okay.
The
Benches.
gazebos, things like to that nature that we've been doing.
Okay.
That's pretty much where we charge that line item to. It's more of not maintenance, just small improvements to the parks.
And they look beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else?
Very good, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Kyle, you good?
Is there a possibility that we would be removing mileage and tolls from our line item? It doesn't look like we've spent on that in several years.
Yeah, there was a line run or two there that we hadn't, you know, we just haven't used them anymore, so.
Now that Ford stopped charging us a toll to come in town.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Thank you, George.
Okay, we have,
Thank you.
next we have Joe Katowski, General Superintendent of wastewater.
What number is that, Dennis?
143, page 143.
Oh, page 143, 84, 8540.
This is just 8540, correct?
Yes.
Question.
Councilman Anderson?
Regarding overtime, did we have like a water main break or something this year? We seem to log a lot of overtime this year compared to the previous years.
Well, it is. It's based on emergencies, call-outs. You know, if the guys aren't standby, they get called out. That if we're going to have a crew standby station throughout the night, so it's all based on, you know, if you got problems or not. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Council President?
Yep.
Page 146, sewer treatment. Are we anticipating a hike from the MCUA?
Second one from the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a dispute right now with MCUA. We received a very high bill from them for the last quarter. It was based on primarily 1 month where we metered, according to them, very, very high. So we've had an ongoing discussion with them trying to determine exactly from their perspective what was the cause of that. But we don't see anything from our side, so we're not exactly sure why that occurred. So we actually reduced the volume by about $1 million under what they had estimated. But still, it's a significant increase because we did have that one blip in December of last year.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions on the MCUA? Councilman Vaccaro?
No, just a question on short treatment again, if that's okay?
Sure.
On page 145, distance line, last 4 digits, 4595, there's no title there. What?
I think that's other repairs, to be honest with you.
Okay. And I guess the nature of that with a consistent request, but a variation in expense is because of the nature of just the
Right.
crisis.
Yeah, pump station goes down. You know, it all depends.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we have Joe Katowski's in charge of the sewer 8550 CP Chemical. 148.
148. Anybody? Thanks.
Thank you.
John, thank you. That should be the last of my divisions.
You're done? Okay. On behalf of the council and myself, thank you very much for all you guys do every day. You work so hard. We see you out all over the place. We call you. You respond right away. We really just wanted to take a moment and say thank you to each and every one of you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best around.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So it's 6:04. So this was just for 6:04. Yeah, I know, I'm just saying. You see the time? You know what I mean? So. Who does municipal council?
I do.
Okay, excuse me, we're going to move to municipal council now, till the other departments come.
No questions. Madam
10,
President,
20.
the budget as presented is what you and I prepared, which is the same as it was last year. If I can, I'll go right into the clerk's budget. Just one comment, you'll see there is an overall increase of $1,450. That's a direct addition you'll see under office machines. Otherwise, my budget is relatively flat. I will point out that if you look at the actual for 2016, the difference between that and what was budgeted, as this affects many departments, is we still don't have all year-end bills in yet by June 30th. I'm probably waiting for over $30,000 bill to come in from the county for the sample ballots for the primary. So that'll be eaten up as soon as that comes in.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Mitch. We'll go to the business administrator, Mr. Landolfi. Page 11, section 1210. Councilman Ficarra?
Page 12, midway down, professional services, other. I'm sorry, I thought you did everything. I didn't know there was any professional services, other. I don't know what that, I'm just wondering what that represents.
It represents several contracts. We have our winning strategies is a large part of that, which is a contract with a consulting firm out of Washington that does some lobbying for us. There's also several contracts in there with Lurch Vinci that don't hit CFO's budget. Arbitrage, some of the work they do for us with Carteret, it's there. Pilot agreement charges and negotiations hit there, so it's kind of a catch-all for any of the professional services that we use throughout the year that is not attributable specifically to other budgets.
So a while back when we were dealing with the issues of Sandy and we had a specialist come in to kind of guide us along, that's in there?
That would have been in there. That's still in there, actually, Joe. Dr. DiLorenzo from the Jerry and Associates. That Blue Acres Consulting contract's in there.
Right, when we had the consultation on how to deal with the land that's converted back to its natural state?
Yeah, that would have been last year, but that type of contract would hit here, yes.
Gotcha. Okay, that's clear. Thank you.
That's right. Anybody else have any questions? We'll move to the office of the mayor.
We can do that.
Okay, page 1, 1010. comments? Okay, if we're done with 12-10-10, we can move to the law department, 15-10, 15-11, page 33.
What's that?
Any questions, comments? Okay, we can move to insurances. Mr. Landolfi, 1410 and 4020, page 116.
Got it.
This is actually fully charged out. Full reserve for just have the journal entry to do it.
So we actually spent the time.
So 21's been moved to reserve for insurance. We're in insurance trust.
Any comments from Mr. Landolfi? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Landolfi.
I'm okay with no questions.
Okay, good. Okay.
We back to library, Council President?
Yeah, we can go to the library now. We have Carolyn Brown, Acting Director, Monica Eppinger, new Library Director. Welcome. Ed Mullen and Carol Eberhardt, trustees. Well, he was here. I thought I saw him. Maybe I was seeing things, but I thought I saw him. Okay, thank you. So if you'd like to go up to
Where's
the
that?
table.
Why don't we grab another chair?
Thank you. That was very humble.
This is Monica Eppinger, and she sat
Hi,
through our
Monica.
first departmental staff meeting today. She showed up for tonight. That's a good sign.
Welcome.
You know, and Monica, I apologize because I think did we lose Ed?
Just Ed for a second.
Okay, because we have Ed Mullen here, who I think is actually going to present for the library or help
Andrew
answer.
Bernath is supposed to also be here.
Okay. If we've got Ed, I think we'll be okay. So I might have jumped the gun on you. I apologize.
We're so excited to have you start in our library. See that?
So happy.
We hope you're just as excited.
So proud to be working for you now.
Good. We'll look forward to having an opportunity to meet with you and
Thank you.
Come
Likewise.
I apologize. I didn't realize you'd stepped out. I started you and I didn't realize you were here. So, okay.
Okay, library. Council? Concerns? Councilman Spiller has a question?
Question on the overtime, not questioning the overtime per se, but what are some of the
Reasons?
activities that would occur at a library? Like some of the programs, I guess I'm trying to.
That would require overtime, or split shifts are one of the things where we have to bring somebody back in, not working 8 consecutive hours, so they get paid time and a half, things of that nature.
It's not so much. It's not so much more programs after hours, things like that.
No.
Maintenance? Matter of maintenance?
Maintenance is done through the town on a shared services agreement, so it doesn't cost the library anything extra.
You
So
know,
it's
if I could.
basically the split shifts?
I'm sorry.
I should have introduced Caroline. Caroline Brown, who is acting director. I apologize for not having introduced her.
Caroline.
Let me say that she's done a marvelous job over the last several months, and since Chris Murchio has retired. And I think this will probably be one of her last official acts, but we appreciate that you're here.
Thank you.
So,
Was there a
Can
question
you,
again
yeah,
on
I
the
just
split
was,
shifts?
can you just explain the split shift? Because I don't know if that's a general statement or if it's different, you know, depending on what department you're in.
Right, it's
or-
in the Ask Me contract. Understand the library hours are not from 9 to 5 every day. We go
Correct.
to 9 o'clock on some days. So in order to cover the various positions, sometimes we have to ask individuals to maybe work 4 hours in the morning, come back 4 hours in the evening. And we compensate them extra if they're working what we call a split shift.
Okay, thank you.
Council
Councilman De
President.
Jesus? Councilwoman De Jesus?
I just have 2 questions. On page 12, under water for Inman, there seems to be a significant increase. Was there a problem there with?
I believe that Andrew Burnett built next year's budget based on what he was seeing in this year's use. There may be a problem because we've been in serious transition this year. We built based on what we were seeing, knowing that if there is a correction that needs to be made, it would come in this coming year.
And if you look at the actuals to date, and again, maybe not all the bills have been processed, we spent almost $3,700 at Inman, so we're trying to get the budget more in line with the actuals. Nothing extra anticipated.
I just have one other question.
Our accountant just walked in, so.
Oh, okay. On page 13, on the postage for Maine, there is a huge request as compared to last year. Are we doing something different, or?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Caroline, you want to explain that? We're going to begin to,
Apparently,
okay.
apparently, for some years, the library had not been either borrowing or lending out of state. And that is, we do apparently get a number of requests for that kind of circulation that does require postage. So the increase is an estimate of what might be used in the coming year.
I actually know that I know about that department because I used to work at Syracuse in the interlibrary loan department, so I know about the request. So do you charge for requests, or are they free? Like if a college student needed a certain book and you had it, do you charge them? Is there a fee so that we can get some revenue out of it, or?
My understanding is that there is not.
I think it's a free service.
It's a free service, but in terms of shipping the material back and forth, there may be a charge, and that's where that comes. So it's not being given back to the resident.
So the actual book goes out, or whatever they're requesting, as opposed to maybe an electronic?
Correct.
Copy
I mean,
or
so
something.
suppose, for instance, Syracuse had requested something, the postage from Woodbridge to Syracuse.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Councilman? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And welcome, Monica.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Welcome aboard. We'll move to Department of Health, Director Dennis Green.
I'll second that one.
All right. Dennis, you want to go right down the order, starting with Health Administration, 3010,
Sounds good.
page 88.
Council President?
Yes.
I don't know,
don't know if this would be 3010 or 3030, but I don't, it's not so much a page or a line item. I know last year at the budget hearing, we had a program, talked about on the Ebola, when we get notification from the airport. Are we still doing that?
Right, that would be under nursing. I believe that's 3040. Not to correct you or anything, but so yeah, we're still doing that, but not as much. It's really tapered off, so it's really didn't turn out as much activity as we thought, but we did do some activity and we did do some monitoring over the weekends and things like that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And hopefully Zika doesn't turn out to be another one.
We were all thinking that.
It's
I'm
always
sure.
something. It's always something.
Speaking of that, is there any money appropriated for maintenance, maintenance, not maintenance, preventive?
Yeah, as far as Zika, any type, no, not that I know of yet. I mean, I know there's been talk federally and locally, but no, there hasn't been anything allocated yet.
I'm assuming, well, I know we discussed at the last meeting that the county is out spraying, the heavy areas where mosquitoes would.
Right, so we're doing our very proactive program, which is going after those abandoned pools on those vacant properties and taking them down and doing that, and we're going to be looking at some in-ground pools too and how to figure that out. So we're being very proactive, and other water sources too. Whenever we get complaints, and we're getting them on a regular basis, we go out, we address them with the homeowners, and we also work very closely with the Middlesex County Mosquito Commission. They're terrific. They're one of the best in the state as far as the county commissions. Very active, work very closely with us. We talk with them all the time, and they respond very quickly. So yeah, they're out there spraying. They're out there checking the sources for the breeding and addressing them on a regular basis.
And I agree with what you said. They are one of the best around.
Yeah, they're terrific.
Any comments on 3010, Health Administration? We'll move to Animal Control, 3020, 3020A, page 94.
President.
Yes.
Then, under Animal Control, page 96, the other outside services, we had a number over the last 5 years, kind of varied, and then not that I'm complaining, but we have a significantly low request this year.
Right. So what we did was we used to have different vets for different things. So we're combining them all into one veterinary service from one vendor. And so we don't need that separate line item anymore. So if you notice under 4895, we increased that slightly. And so what we're trying to do is trying to use just one vendor. It makes it easier for us, makes it easy for the staff. And we did leave a little bit in there because sometimes there's 24-hour response that we need to take them to another after-hours vet. And so we did leave a little bit of money there, but we're using it basically for one vet, and we're putting it under one line item now. Basically, we combined the two line items.
Right, good. Okay, thank you.
Page 95. There seems to be a significant increase in professional service other, 3020, 48,000. I guess it has been going up a little bit every year.
Right. That's what we were just talking about. So we combined. What we did was took it from the other line item and put it in this line item. So really, there was no effective change. It's
okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Madam President.
Yes.
Then you're doing nursing too, right?
Yep.
Do we get there? Or?
Well, we can move on to environmental 3030. That's next, page 98, and then nursing will be after that. Yep. Nursing. Yeah. It's page 93. All right. We're good with 3030. So we'll move on to nursing. Page 90. That's wrong. Yeah, page 91. Continuing education, page 93. see a substantial increase there from 600 to 5,600.
Right, so we have a doctor on contract, and she does a lot of our clinics, and we're looking at a different program, the addiction recovery program, and we're hoping to use this doctor for it. So she's going to need some education and training, so that's why we put a little bit extra in the budget now for, and that's going to cover also the nurses' education and training, but also for the doctor for this new program.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
We seem to have a consistent amount requested for first aid supplies on page 91, but we've never really gotten that amount. Is there a way that we can adjust that for next year?
Yeah, first aid supplies includes flu vaccine, so it fluctuates a lot year to year, so it's hard to say what the demand is going to be. So what we do is we buy flu vaccine obviously at the beginning of the year. Depends on what the demand is and whether we buy more or not. So some years, yeah, we do spend more on flu vaccine, depending on the cost and things like that, and other years not so much. So it all depends on what vaccines, whether it's flu vaccines or other types of vaccines that we buy and have to, on demand, really. So it varies, does vary year to year.
So it's more of a matter of making sure it's available.
Exactly, we don't want to be quite short, exactly.
Move down to 3061, Office of Aging, page 108. Any comments? Rick, you good?
All good.
Okay, we can move to the Evergreen Senior Center, 3062, page 110. They're hungry there. We see a big increase in the food line item.
Yummy. We run a ton of programs there. It's very busy, and it's getting busier every year. So, unfortunately,
That's
yeah.
a good thing, though.
Absolutely.
Evergreen Youth, actually, I'm gonna skip one. Senior Transportation, 3063, page 111.
Then I'm sorry, Madam President.
Go ahead.
Replacement parts, I guess that's anticipating bringing in some transportation for seniors?
Right, so you're probably aware that we have an agreement with MCAT to do some of our basic senior transportation, but we're also acquiring buses. So yeah, we're anticipating obviously that they're going to be used continuously every day. So they have a lot of moving parts. There's the lift and different things like that for the wheelchairs. So unfortunately, we're anticipating that there is going to be some repair and things like that for replacement.
Thank you.
Excuse me, where is the expense for the buses themselves, though? Maybe I missed that part.
Bond
Is that-
ordinance.
Where is it?
Bond ordinance.
Gotcha. And the salaries for those bus drivers, I assuming are at the bottom of 110?
Yeah. There's a couple, and there's some part-time employees.
Right,
and-
perfect. I saw some emails back and forth.
Yeah.
But I-
3064 Evergreen Youth, page 112. Yes.
On page 112, on the miscellaneous expenses, there has been nothing requested in the previous years, and now there's a request for a significant amount. On the miscellaneous expenses.
Are we doing, what are we doing?
Page 112 on the miscellaneous expenses.
No, so we've got one.
Oh, that's, sorry, I apologize.
It's okay.
Oh.
We all have our turn to do that.
Okay. So, because it's a new program, because we're starting off a new program and it's totally new to us, we're trying to anticipate all the expenses, but it's kind of hard until we're really into the program. So that's why we allocated that amount.
Thank you.
Thank you. Port Reading Senior Center, 3065, page 113. Boy, they really are hungry. This went from 5 to 10,000.
Council President?
Yes.
Is that a question or?
Yeah, well, I guess it's growing and getting bigger, and we're getting more seniors and
right. So
more events.
so you're aware the center is new. So we allocated a certain amount based on what we thought we projected because it's a totally new center. Almost all the senior groups, I think, except for the Colonia group, meet at our facility. So it's very busy, and food is unfortunately all part of the program.
Food is everything.
Does that
I
include
think.
takeout?
I resemble that remark.
Drive-through? Takeout? Thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
Director, page 113, excuse me, other supplies. I know it's the first year, so we started with that number, and now I see where we're at this year. Is that because we're kind of leveled off now that we've got a whole full year under our belt? And
Exactly. Some of those costs were actually the startup costs, so doing some of the renovations, some of the minor stuff, and just getting the building ready for opening. So yeah, so that's why you're seeing a lot of those costs that have changed and kind of went down, is because that there was a lot of startup, basically opening costs.
we're comfortable that that's a good number for us.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And it came out beautiful, and it's enjoyed by many, many of our residents.
Thank you.
So
We're very proud of it.
Did a great job.
Fantastic.
Great job. Any other questions on the Port Reading Senior Center? Okay, we'll move to Drug Addiction Services, 3066, page 114. Oh. Let's see. For the new program?
Yeah, and there are some allocations obviously there, and we're trying to estimate what it's going to cost. Totally, this one's totally spanking new, totally
Right.
unique. So the anticipated costs are what we're estimating. We're
Okay.
doing the best we can
That's
estimating.
good.
So it's that's going to be something that we're going to adjust obviously as the year goes by. Next year might be a little different.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns? Thank you very much, Director Green.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Council President.
If you wouldn't mind asking Director Sumuluka to stop in?
I'll go down.
Thank you.
This is Patrick Muller. To my left, he runs the finance for the Recreation, Utility, and Recreation Department here at the Community Center.
And you are?
Vito Simaluka, Recreation Director for the Township.
Thanks, Director. We'll start with 3320, if that's okay.
Sure.
On page 105, Recreation. Is that okay?
Yep.
Page 106, Director Simaluka, second line down, other outside services, just a little bit of a description of what that might be. It's a
Sure,
big
so
number.
that's the donation from the WTYRC, C. Warren Library, the murals that we do, the painting murals that we're doing, movies in the park.
Okay.
And I'll have a breakdown, if you like, for last year's WTYRC donations to the
That'd be
groups if you
great.
need that.
Thank you. Any questions from council for recreation? Still looking.
I want to make sure that I'm in the right one.
3320.
Yeah, you're good. Yep, you're good. On salaries and regular, there's a significant increase in the salaries.
I'm sorry, Councilman, what page are you referring to?
Page 107, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Salaries regular?
Yeah. What we had last year and what we're requesting, it's a huge amount.
From 57,000
104?
to 343.
320, right? Yeah.
Councilwoman, I believe that's actually Office on Aging, but it's a good question. so why don't you let
3320? Oh,
Hernandez-
This is on page 107?
107.
Yeah.
This is what Dennis is doing, Office of the Aging.
Oh.
I can explain what happened there.
oh,
There were several individuals that were under a multi-service grant, both on a CDBG level and as well as on a county level. Those funds dried up. So those monies now had to be brought within the health department, and that went to that department right there. So those
Okay.
monies were covered by grants before, they're not now, that's why they're on that line.
Thank you.
I see now what happened. 3061 is next to it.
Yeah, I think
Sorry
before,
about
if I'm
that.
not mistaken,
Explain it
Office of the
again.
Aging was part of the rec area, that's why.
It was.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why it was coded that
A
way.
portion of
Sorry
it.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Welcome.
Recreation, any more comments or questions? We'll move to 33330, celebration of public events, page 115.
Okay. That's over. Question?
Page 116. Third line down, miscellaneous expenses, if you could just help us out with what falls under that. Just
Okay,
a few
that is,
examples.
some of the events that we run would be the parades, the fireworks, that we help supplement the fireworks, et cetera.
Okay.
Council President, next year, we're gonna try to break that out a little more
Yeah.
detail. That's a big number to have.
Yeah, it is. Okay, thank you. Any more questions on celebration of public events? We can move to 8220 Woodbridge Community Center, page 161. Page 162. Hope I'm in the right category. 8220 equipment replacement. Seems to be a substantial increase. 35,000 requesting.
Yeah, this year what we're doing, which we haven't done in 15 years, is we're taking the entire roller floor down to the original wood finish and bringing it back up. Before we've done maintenance. So
Okay.
before we've done in the past is just scuff it and coat over it. This year we're taking it all the way down. We just have too many coats on it now.
And how long will that last?
That should last, well, just without a scuff and a coat, the top layer should last a year, and then we'll do the same thing continuously every year, which is Labor Day weekend. We shut down for 3-4 days, and we redo the floor, just because the odor in the building is a little bit much for the clients to tolerate.
Thank you.
Council President, if I could, and we apologize, I think there's actually a typo on the sheet you've got there. The community center actually starts on page 151, but primarily on 153.
Okay.
So there's a lot of expenses here. You may want to look at that.
151.
Council President, if you jump to page 153,
Yeah.
that's, I think, more the pertinent expenses there.
Right.
Third line from the bottom starts, really
So,
starts
yeah,
with
so
the-
recreation, right? Okay.
Council President?
Yes.
Director, I don't think you have to flip the pages, but it's page 166 and 167. Batting cages and mini golf.
Mhm.
Nothing there. There isn't anything listed there. That comes from somewhere else, or is that?
166,
Yes. It's actually 165 miniature golf,
right?
166 batting cages.
All right, so if you look at line 3515, salary seasonal, is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about a specific line, or?
Go 3 more up, batting cages. Let's go from there. On page 166.
Okay.
See, it has batting cages listed. There isn't any.
Request for any
Request.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's just the heading, Council.
Yeah.
Same thing with mini golf.
If you see the lines below it, those lines sum up to it's a heading account, and then the lines below that they fall underneath the batting cage appropriation. So if you see page 167 at the top, and that you'll see it foots to $4,000 for a salary appropriation.
Okay. All right, thank you.
If you don't mind, I'd like to, this number's jumping out at me. It's on page 152, under recreation utility, 8130, 300,000, Milos Hall.
That's, we're going to be opening up Father Milos Hall relatively soon. Once we finish the construction, there's equipment and operating expenses that are going to be associated with that, and that's a new line item for that facility.
As a recreation facility, I presume.
Correct. It's gonna handle wrestling and cheerleading, some gymnastics, and we're still in talks about adding a few other attractions there. So
Great.
we're not sure where that's going to end up, but we're very excited about it.
Sounds great, yeah. Very good. Any other comments or questions? Councilman Vaccaro?
Director Sambuca, I don't generally ask questions about salaries, just kind of on the contract, but the seasonal salary, I'm a little confused here on page 154. You started to bring it up. The first item on page 154.
So what we did was with the salaries, we had a seasonal line and a part-time line, and we incorporated both lines together now. So last year you saw that on 2 lines, and now it's on 1. So whenever especially when it comes to the recreation utility, because we have so many part-time employees, the lion's share of our employees are part-time, and we brought those together.
So last year we didn't budget anything under seasonal, and we spent 38. So now all of it's under part-time. Where is that? or part-time?
It's under regular.
Oh, okay, okay.
Go ahead, Michael, you can answer.
We try to do a better job of associating the part-time staff to each budget line item. So, for office director would be Vito's main office. We try to make sure everything is posted correctly. So, you can see there's a couple mispostings there. Technically seasonal. That person was not a seasonal employee. That's technically a full-time employee that works under Vito. So we're continually working trying to adjust how the line items are charged.
Okay.
So it's more accurate.
And to understand what our revenues and our expenses are in different departments throughout the community center. So we refine it almost every year with the finance department and the recreation department and the business administrator. We sit down once every several weeks and we go over it. We make sure that we're charging the right employees to the right departments, so we know exactly what our revenues are in those locations.
I certainly appreciate that. I think that the recreation department in general is so vast, and does so many things, and people are asked to do things that might cross over from one event to another, but I appreciate that explanation. Thank you both.
Any other questions from council for Director Samuelka? We'll move to Barron Arts, 1410, page 20. Director Samuelka, page 22, postage and delivery. Just seems like a lot. Maybe you could help me out with that. It's kind of inconsistent.
I'm trying to find what you're looking at, Councilman.
First line, page 22, postage and delivery.
We share some postage with them, and this year we're trying to divide it up and put it back to their department. So that's why it's going to be, what they do in their department is going to be charged directly to them instead of through the utility.
So that you were anticipating that much?
So again, it goes back to understanding exactly where our expenses are.
Would it ever occur to anyone to perhaps, maybe I'm just thinking out loud in the future, maybe something to think about? I know they do a lot of print, beautiful. They're exceptional what they put out in flyers, and there's a lot of them. It's voluminous. Would we ever consider maybe adding a portion to your seasonal brochure for the community center that you do? Maybe
that's a great idea.
Maybe adding on the Barron Arts
absolutely.
Center portion of that brochure, since we're printing it. It might be cheaper to do it that way maybe sometime in the future. Not to take anything, I don't want to take anything away from them. Their stuff is absolutely beautiful. Just something to think about. If we can save some money, it just seems like a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you all very much. Thank you for everything you do. Appreciate it. And now we will go to the courts. And that will be Mr. Landolfi.
Supported by Mr. Fernandez, I hope.
Page 119. Any comments from council? comments? Okay.
Motion.
Okay, we have one more. Oh, we got. Is there anything else you might have for us?
Yes, Council President. First, let me thank you. As always, your questions were insightful and helpful. And I'd like to thank Nanny and Michael for the time they put in on preparing the budget. I think it shows, as all our department heads spent a great deal of time crafting of their operating budgets. There is one additional item. If we could this evening, I had requested an executive session. It should only take about 15 minutes to go over, maximum 15 minutes to go over a couple of proposed union contracts. So if we can go into executive session, then if you feel comfortable with it, we can back out, authorize execution of the MOAs that I'm going to discuss.
Sure.
Can we get a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters for approximately 15 minutes?
Motion. Second.
Motion made and properly seconded. Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We're in closed session at 6:36. Madam President, we just came out of executive session. We have two resolutions that'll be before you. We'll number them 4 and 5 for this evening. So will be approval of two memorandum of agreements as presented. I get a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.